celebration time for these colorful women who fought every odd in society. The high pitch of the drum beat signifies their struggle and consequently a new beginning. This change in their destinies was possible because of the intervention of IFES, an international non-profit, non-governmental organization based in Washington, D.C. IFES has worked in over 120 countries on democracy, governance, civic education, rule of law, and access to justice programs. IFES has been implementing a women's legal rights initiative in India since November 2003 in partnership with Indian NGOs and government policies. The goal of this initiative is to enhance the ability of women to protect their rights and increase their access to justice.
Well, the amazing thing about India is that it's growing at 9% per year economically, and many people are benefiting from this growth. But the feeling has been that women, particularly rural women and poor women in urban areas and in some of the less advantageous states, economically advantageous states, are having a harder time in terms of getting their share of the resource pie, of having legal rights, of having mobility, and benefiting from economic growth. And two statistics that really reveal this are the fact that there are 7,000 fewer girls born every day than boys in India, mostly the result of female feticide, and also the startling statistic that more than a third of women in India suffer from domestic violence. So the feeling has been among many of the NGO community leaders and women's groups that we're in contact with, including members of parliament, that there's a need to increase the voice of women in terms of advocacy and policy and resource distribution at the government level, but also more importantly, changing cultural attitudes and social attitudes at the local level through community-based approaches. But probably most importantly has been the transformation of the communities where we have worked, where the NGOs that we have supported have come from, in that they have raised the level of awareness among the Panchayat Raj members, the other NGO community leaders in their communities, women's groups, men's groups, boys' groups, religious organizations. Particularly, we're particularly pleased about the success we've had with Muslim women in terms of advocating the rights of Muslim women who are even more disadvantaged than generally for Indian women in terms of their access to legal assistance and community services, and in related projects in terms of girls' madrasas education. Community groups are critical, but there's also a need for policy advocacy and work with the legislatures so that rules and laws and policies are enforced by the legal system when there are infractions, which are still unfortunately very common in India.
The Gender and Law project, initiated by IFES and funded by USAID, includes legal aid, legal literacy, advocacy, public information, training and research components, and the project works with NGOs in India to increase their capacity to pursue and protect the legal rights of women. While some activities are conducted at the national level, the majority of the interventions are in two target states, Karnataka and Rajasthan. At the close of the term, WLRI interventions spread to include 43 partner organizations working both at the national level and in 16 districts in Karnataka and 20 districts in Rajasthan. The key ongoing initiatives of the project include 28 anti-violence counseling centers for women, Women Power Connect, a new national coalition of over 400 members countrywide united to professionally lobby Parliament, 2,000 community-based groups which address violence against women, female feticide and property rights of women and development through a gender lens and right-based approach. Work with boys and young men to promote gender equity in rural areas and urban slums. Gender training for doctors, judges, public prosecutors, and religious leaders. Help desks for women in family courts. Networks of lawyers and paralegals to assist women access justice. Social and economic empowerment of Muslim women and mainstreaming their participation in the development process. Training key government officials on gender-responsive budgeting.
IFES has worked in over 120 countries around the world, and wherever we work, our work has focused on supporting democracy building. And in a country like India, which has a proud, the world's largest democracy, there's a legacy of civil society activism. What we find is that at the community level, what this program is doing is very unique. It's transforming representative democracy into true participatory democracy, whereas people used to participate in just electing their leaders and then allowed them to govern the country. Here, groups at the grassroots are coming together and saying that we want to have a voice in not only who governs us, but how we are governed.
Now what we need to look at women from the point of view of how are they development partners, number one. Number two, talking about gender, make men also aware of the importance of looking at women as gender development partners. Unless and until we see a change in the attitude of the community to address women and their issues in a particular way, we cannot bring about development in totality. Therefore, IFES in all its projects, they decided that a community approach to address gender issue. In the entire program support, what we try to do is how do we create community-based organizations which will look at and address violence, where these communities will talk about why it is important to change the lives of women and why women need to be partners of development.
The creation of community-based response groups, a model evolved by IFES, is a new paradigm shift in participatory democracy. In Karnataka, Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement, the Paraspara Trust, REACH, Singamma Srinivasan Foundation, People's Movement for Self-Reliance, Sneha, SIRE and Samarasa have implemented the IFES model to a new concept of development. These NGOs have helped create CBR groups involving self-help groups, social collectives, panchayat members and other important community groups. For Basamma, the journey in her life has been full of compromises. No boulevard to dream about a great future. Poverty and tradition forced her to become a Devadasi. Basamma just wanted to be a teacher, but the cruel face of mainstream nipped her dreams in the bud. Thanks to the community-based response, Basamma is now the binding force in this tiny village in helping the women in their struggle to overcome many odds.
My father forced me to become a Devadasi when I was a young girl. Now I work as a laborer, though I always wanted to be a teacher. But I'm happy I have joined the committee. They are part of my daily life. Now I have the confidence to face anybody, be it men or mainstream. I'm ashamed of myself now for having given in to my father's wishes. I was afraid of facing the society. Now I can mingle with anybody.
The story of Jabin Taj, who fought the cruelty of mainstream and her own family, inspires women to fight for their rights. Her journey is an exemplary expression of struggle for survival on her terms. She was the victim of domestic violence and cruelty, but fought everything to guide her own life. She, in the process, became a leader, and today helps women in distress. She has brought dignity to the many lives around her. She also cherishes political ambitions, hoping to better many more lives.
We as a group tackle all issues concerning women and children. I was harassed by my in laws and other family members. I was a victim of domestic violence. Thanks to community support, I am alive today. The community gave me emotional support to survive. I feel we need political power to solve all the problems of slum people. If I get the power, I will certainly work hard to address all the issues related to slum and poor people. I am greatly concerned about women too.
This bus is the lifeline of Saukar Hundi village in Mysore. In fact, it is the symbolic aspiration of development linking the past with the present. The bus which plies connecting the village to the city has improved the economic sustainability of this village. The women spearheaded this agitation for a bus service to their village, which was not possible for ages. It was possible because of the community-based response, which strengthens the fight for their basic rights. The story of these women is amazing, and they are together in fighting for their rights.
Our story, to get a bus plying from Mysore to our village, is a link to our collective strength. We fought for it together. This was a long-drawn struggle which finally yielded results. It was possible because of the community.
Manjula is a guiding life for many. She sits under the tree, consoling many hurt souls. For her, this is a process of community understanding, looking at building a larger base of women to fight for their rights. Manjula, like many others, dreamt of a happy married life, but became a victim of the violent acts of her husband. Thanks to the intervention of the community, she faced her crisis. Today, she is not only a free woman, but is also able to guide many women like her to face their problems with courage. Manjula is tackling all issues from civic amenities to dowry harassment.
My story is that of domestic violence and harassment by my drunkard husband. I got out of the marriage thanks to the CBR group. I survived, and it's my commitment that I should fight for any ill treatment to women in my village. We have a strong team which deals with all sorts of problems. This collective response has not only given us strength to fight, but it has also empowered us.
These are the inspiring living legends of women who are fighting for their rights. For them, right to information and other legal weapons and acceptance by the mainstream have greatly contributed to this movement of change. What is amazing is they have not only formed a united front, but have also succeeded in involving the men of the village in their struggle for equal rights.
I am happy these women are saving money through their committees. Looking at their success, men have also joined them for collective development of the village.
These stories are real and tell the spirit of women and their struggle. The voices of these women echo a great stream of inspiration. Their struggle is the binding force in bringing about a change. The role of government agencies, NGOs, and donor agencies are crucial in augmenting this silent revolution.
NGOs are not permanent. The community should take the ownership themselves. CBR groups have taken this responsibility and are part of the IFES model. It has changed everything, and the CBR groups are in a position to decide on their own.
I never thought CBR groups would change the face of the village so much. Now, they take collective decisions and pass judgments without a bias. They are very powerful. They deal with all issues, including domestic problems.
In earlier days, men had groups called chawdis. Women were neglected and were not allowed to participate in any of the issues concerning them. Thanks to IFES project, women are now empowered and they are part of the development processes.
IFES project started as a women support group. We used to focus on property rights, creating CBR groups as part of the IFES model. Later, we strengthened the CBR group. The IFES model now has changed the dynamics and empowered them to deal with everything.
After implementation of IFES model, the NGO's role is limited. The community is empowered and more democratic in dealing with issues. I feel this is an important step forward in community development.
We formed these village justice committees in 50 villages. So 50 groups were formed. Out of these 50 groups, 12 to 15 people were nominated as the committee members. So it had Anganwadi teachers, SDMC members, the school teachers, the village elder fellows, elder people, the youth leaders and other interested people also, including the doctors, lawyers or advocates, whoever is there. So we had something like a ratio of 1:3 or it depends, half of women and half of men. But we had 50 groups. So that's how we started this project.
We are working with child laborers and found that there's a link between domestic violence and child labor. The IFES project has come at the right time, wherein it has empowered women to overcome lot of issues which were a stumbling block. Women are now empowered to decide their own issues. It has also reduced child labor related problems.
The community-based response is now a paradigm shift in empowerment of women. This empowerment is a great contributor to the nation's development. They are also augmenting community to respond to their own needs.
It's a major paradigm shift for women who are empowered and who become community leaders in a sense in ensuring that domestic violence does not occur in their own communities. That itself is a major step forward. And over the last 2-3 years, for these women to actually go beyond issues affecting only them and their immediate surroundings and looking at the larger development context itself, I think it's a very fascinating and interesting development. And if it's actually capitalized on and the real potential of these groups and these women and their power is harnessed, I think a lot of development issues can be tackled. I think it's a challenge for NGOs too. NGOs need to gradually understand that this is for real. The power of the communities is something which can be really unleashed. They need to also understand how much is it that they need to facilitate and where they need to let go. The IFES dream was to find solutions for the issues of violence around which the women are subjected to. And there have been a lot of other spin-offs which have happened. Apart from the empowerment process, if you look at the entire way these groups have matured, caste dimensions are getting broken down, gender equations are changing, power structures are changing in rural India, and women are now understanding and creating space for themselves, which are all added outputs that the project didn't really envisage, but it all happened.
The song signifies the metamorphosis this society is enjoying now. The setting sun and the flock of white birds are symbolic aspirations of these women whose dreams are a reality today.